Ladies and gentlemen, it's a big, weird, wild world out there, folks. And here we stand, al pie del cañón, ready for anything. I'm Rob, that's the Natch, and you're listening to...
The ProBoh Show!
That's right, boys and girls. Welcome to the ProBoh Show on this Jueves. Yeah, that beautiful, almost beginning to the weekend that is Thursday morning. It's currently 8:30 a.m. Central European Time. 2:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and for our friend Eric in the Philippines, is it not 2:30 in the afternoon? Yes, it is. Guys, if you want to join me live in the chat, you can do that at twitch.tv/professional bohemian. That's Bohemio Profesional, pero in English. You can also join me on Instagram using that same handle, @professionalbohemian, if you are interested in voting on the polls that we have around the show and other interesting information. There you go. How are you doing, guys? A big good morning to Born to Iron Man, Eric, Eugene, Mr. Cruzando, Vero, and Pedro from Instagram. Good morning, guys. Oof. Friends, do we have a tough, unpopular opinion today? It's a tough one. It's a tough one. Today's unpopular opinion is there are more negatives. How did I phrase this? I can't remember how I phrased it, if I'm honest. There are more negatives to a belief in God than there are positives. Or the negatives of a belief in God outweigh the positives. It's a tough subject that we're going to have to handle with quite a little bit of respect. But that's coming up later. Also later in the show, I ask 100 humans today reasons you might need to stop a car during a long car ride or during a long journey. ¿Por qué puede tener que parar el coche durante un viaje largo? O largo. Oh, Natch. Auto-correcting. Why does the word long...
¿Será posible? Vaya nivelazo.
Why does the word long need to be masculine? We don't need to ask that question. That's just Spain's obsession with assigning a gender to random things. Thanks, Spain. So, yeah, that's today's 100 humans. And in Complete the News, we look at what the Toronto, Canada police are closing. And we also see what robots, if we have time, what robots say they won't do. But before we get there, guys, I'm here, you're here, Natch is here. Let's see what's going on in the world. How are you doing, Natch? It's Thursday, thank God.
Yes.
It's been a week, man. Mm-hmm. It's been a week. And Natch and I, what you guys don't know, we are practically alone in the office. It's like the rest of the people go to work from home. Natch and I, we come in every morning, bright and early, 7:30, both of us are here. Yeah, I've been coming in later this week. Do you know why? Because I'm looking after Andrea's dog. Andrea, my co-host, my best friend from the lunchtime show. I'm looking after a dog. And I own dogs. I have 2 dogs, 2 little, emasculating little dogs. I shouldn't say that. They're not chihuahuas or anything like that, but they are tiny little dogs. I have 2. Andrea has a dog best described as a mountain lion. It is big and strong. And she is like every woman in my life. She's just, she makes a decision. There's no convincing her otherwise. Walking her is like walking a VW Beetle. It's like walking a car that's being driven by a monkey. She's like impossible to stop. If she wants to go and smell something, forget about it. Meanwhile, I have my 2 little dogs, and people ask me because I'm struggling so much with 3 dogs. Are you a dog walker? I'm like, no, I'm dog sitting. So the big one's yours. I'm like, no, the little ones are mine. Oh, thank God I'm secure enough in my masculinity to own little dogs. There you go. I said it. How are we doing? Eric, nice to see you with us. Eric didn't join us in the show, in the chat yesterday because of a power outage in the Philippines. They're experiencing storms out there, Natch. So be safe out there, my Filipino listeners. I know there are a few of you. Vero, good morning, beautiful warriors, she says. Pedro, good morning. PJB's with us in the studio. How are you doing, PJB? Good morning. The Bridge, good morning, Rob. Anyway, okay. Let's. Shall we look at a little bit of news? think that would be a prescient thing to do right now. Some good news. Let's focus on some good news. Europe has passed. The EU has passed a nature restoration law. A nature restoration law in a knife edge vote. My international listeners, knife edge means in a very close vote, a very tight vote. So we've passed, or the EU has passed a nature restoration vote, which is good news, right? Ley de restauración de la naturaleza. Thank you, Deeple. I'm not that clever. I have technology on my side. So this came from The Guardian, today's Guardian. The European Union has narrowly passed a crucial nature restoration law, a significant component of the European Green Deal. This legislation will implement recovery measures for 20% of the EU's land and sea by 2030, eventually covering all degraded ecosystems by 2050. Dude, I'm just going to say, like, Europe has the right to flex on other countries here. By 2050, all the degraded natural land will be restored to its former glory. Natch, isn't that wonderful? And you're like me, you like to go to places of nature when you go on holiday. I know you go to Galicia and things like that. So that's wonderful news, man. Feels good to be European. Really does. Let's continue. Italy. Let's go to Italy, Natch. A much neglected country in our news stories. Italy, in many ways, the Florida of Europe. Italy, that poses the question why, and the only answer is because Italy. Oh, dudes, I don't know if you heard about this story before. This is coming from the BBC, but Italy is in an uproar right now. Italy is in an uproar. They're angry over a judge's 10-second groping rule. Oof, I don't know how to say groping in Spanish, Natch, do you? No. Okay, hang on, wait. I have to use Deeple here. Groping. Groping is toquetear. You know, it's like when you touch someone without their consent. Okay. So, Italian uproar over judge's 10-second groping rule. Revuelta en Italia por la regla de los 10 segundos para toquetear de un juez. I don't know how we'd say that. I'll be honest, guys. 10-second groping rule. Let me get into the whys and hows of this. I can be a little bit racist against Italians because I'm half Italian. So there you go. You guys have to shake your head in shame hearing this racist nonsense. The Florida of Europe. Oh, I am sorry, Italy. A wave of backlash has swept across Italy after her judge acquitted a school caretaker of sexual assault charges, ruling that the groping incident, the incident of toqueteo, I don't know if I've conjugated that verb right. I did, Natch.
Nivelazo.
Yo soy español. Look at me today. I'm on fire. Ruling that the groping incident, which lasted less than 10 seconds, did not constitute a crime. And that obviously this decision sparked outrage among the public, with many taking to social media to demonstrate their discontent using the hashtag 10 secondi. So yeah, apparently in Italy, if you grope for less than 10 seconds, it's not a grope. It's not a grope. See, if it's not over 11 seconds, it's like a handshake. Again, I'm half Italian. So you can't say anything. I'm not being racist. I'm being, I'm appropriating my own culture. Dude, this is a little bit disgusting. Italy. But change the calendar, man. There's someone there in this judge's office with a calendar that dates back to 1970. Buy a 2023 one for the guy, please. Can you believe that? So yeah, this caretaker, I believe it was a young girl as well who he groped. The 17-year-old student involved in the case, feeling let down by both her school and the justice system, expressed her fears that such rulings could discourage victims from reporting such incidents in the future. Yeah, so a 17-year-old girl being groped there for under 10 seconds. Jeez Louise. What are we coming to? Italy, go home. You're drunk. Florida of Europe. Okay, let's say. Eric, and thank goodness it's Friday. Is it Friday for you, Eric? Are they in the future over there, Natch, in the Philippines? I believe they are. Happy Friday, man. I see. If it's under 10 seconds, then they say it wasn't a crime. Exactly, Eric. But it is a crime. Let me tell you, everyone listening here, A, don't grope anyone. Don't touch someone without their consent. And I'm English, so I extend that to handshakes and hugs. You don't touch me. Sexual assault. Yeah, I'm British, so physical contact is a no-no. You know, don't grope people, guys. Even if it's under 10 seconds. Yeah, this Italian judge, man, you specifically, you go home. You're drunk. Call me crazy, but I think this pandemic we've just suffered was nature's warning about how harmful humans can be. Could be. Born to Iron Man. British is grope, and in Spanish, oh, here we go. Mangrear. Right?
Magrear.
Did I spell it? Okay. Magrear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he wrote it correctly. I wrote it. I said it badly. Magrear, thank you. Or metermano. Can we get a nivelazo for Born to Iron Man?
Wow, qué nivelazo.
Just killing it. You're just killing it today, BTI. Eric, to add to that, Rob, I think this case involves a 17-year-old student at a Rome high school. It did. Thank you, Eric. Eric's going to get a ProBoh approved too, man. Suffering power outages.
That gets the ProBoh stamp of approval.
Suffering power outages, and he comes here to drop knowledge on the stream. We love him. Joining us all the way from the Philippines. Joining us from all over Spain, guys. Joining us from the Netherlands. We've got Min here. How are you doing, Min? So the news there that Italy is in uproar after a judge basically acquits a caretaker of the crime of groping a student because it was under 10 seconds. 10 seconds is a long time, guys? Especially in radio. Like, in radio terms, you should never leave a silence of over half a second. If you leave a second, people's brains automatically think that there's something wrong with the radio, and they're not paying attention to the road, they're paying attention to the radio. So, like, imagine 10 seconds of silence. I challenge you during the break to stay silent for 10 seconds and understand how long 10 seconds of groping would be. It's disgusting. I know I'm making light of it, but it is disgusting. Come on. All right, and finally, we're going to stop today with some AI news. Why the hell not? A CEO laid off. He fired 90% of support staff after an AI chatbot outperformed them. Oh dear. The CEO of an e-commerce platform, Dukan, faced severe online criticism for announcing on Twitter, officially backed by the Taliban, we learnt yesterday. Taliban approved Twitter, that he had replaced 90% of his customer support staff with an AI chatbot, leading to an 85% reduction in customer costs. This move, according to the CEO, was necessitated by the AI chatbot's superior performance responding to customer queries. Again, comrades, here I come with me trying to be unbiased and in the middle. This is a failure of capitalism, folks. People are going to get laid off because every company Like, corporations only owe their allegiance, their loyalty to their shareholders. Their only objective is creating wealth for their shareholders. You as an employee are a number. I'm a number. Natch is a number. We're all numbers here. You know what I mean? And this is inevitable. In almost almost every way. AI is already more intelligent than we are. I couldn't sit down with Natch and have a conversation about philosophy, and also a conversation about coding, and also a conversation about, you know what I mean? AI is an expert in everything. It's just crazy. And it's also more efficient, you know. It doesn't need work breaks. How are we mere mortals supposed to contend with AI? We need a new model, guys. It's time to start pressuring our governments all over the world. I'm talking to everyone from Eric in the Philippines to Min in the Netherlands, to Con in South Africa. All of us, we need to be a lot more vocal to fight, to force our leadership to start paying attention to something that's been going on since the Industrial Revolution. Hello? Which is humans being displaced by technology in the workforce. You know, because then you get certain sections of politics that want to blame the lack of work on immigration and things that are just not related. Look at me. All right, comrades, that's the end of the meeting. Oh, dear me. Andy has been there one day and this is happening. Yeah, exactly, says Min. How you doing, Min? I miss Madam Andy. She'll be like El Professor. Yeah, Andy is actually in Italy right now. I should warn her about the 10-second rule. Thing is, I know Andrea, and if she got groped, she might actually quite enjoy it. Yeah, me quedo aquí. I'm just going to stay here. You know, you've got another 9 seconds left. Mario, keep going. I should not make light of a lawsuit about groping and sexual assault. We don't joke about these things. We don't joke about them, guys. Not even on the ProBoh show. All right, friends, let's go to today's unpopular opinion.
Unpopular opinion.
Oh, dear. All right, so all that said, let's go to today's unpopular opinion, which is a sensitive one. So I'm going to ask everyone in the chat, everyone listening, to remove yourself from this argument and just think rationally. Today's unpopular opinion, today's brain fart, today's pedo-cerebral, pedo-mental, today's rayada is negatives of a belief in God, los negativos, los puntos malos, or puntos de dolor, you'd say pain points. The negatives of belief in God outweigh, pesa más, than the positives, than the pro things, okay, than the you know, the positive attributes. So the negatives of a belief in God outweigh the positives. Now, what I'm not saying here is God, like, one of the most requested unpopular opinions that I haven't done is God doesn't exist. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to do that argument. Why? Because there is, you know, it's a zero-sum game, you know? I'm not going to start arguing about things where there are, you know, you can't prove philosophically the lack of God, right? You can't prove it. So I'm not going to argue something where neither side have tangible proof. But what we can discuss here is that belief in God can lead to more negative outcomes than a lack of belief. Or we can argue that a belief in God might have more positive outcomes than a lack of a belief in God. And that's what we're going to do today, guys. So let's go to the ProBoh Show elves, first of all, and see what they have to say on this subject. So the negatives, los aspectos negativos The negatives, I speak Spanish and I look out the window for Natch to stoically nod.
Nivelazo.
And that's how I know I've said something right. The negatives of a belief in God outweigh the positives. So in the pro column, according to the elves, differences in religious beliefs can lead to social division, discrimination, and even violent conflict. Religious wars and sectarian violence are examples of the destructive potential of religious belief. A belief in God, particularly when it involves accepting religious texts as literal truth, can potentially limit scientific progress and critical thinking. For instance, certain religious beliefs have historically conflicted with scientific theories such as evolution or the Big Bang. Fear of divine punishment or guilt can cause significant emotional distress and anxiety. Being brought up Catholic, I can attest to this. Let me repeat. Fear of the divine punishment or guilt can cause significant emotional distress and anxiety. This can particularly be the case in belief systems with a strong emphasis on sin and divine retribution. Like I was raised Catholic, and part of Catholic faith is the idea of mortal sin. You're born a sinner thanks to Adam and Eve. So a baby that is born is already sinful. Can you believe that? Until he's had his baptism. And then, he's forgiven. I don't know, weird. And then finally, in the pro column, in some instances, belief in God can be manipulated for personal or institutional gain, leading to situations of financial, emotional, or even physical exploitation. Oh, my battery's about to die. How long do we have left? Do I have 6 minutes? I don't think so. Let's see. So those are the pros. Those are agreeing with the statements. Disagreeing. For many, belief in God provides a moral and ethical framework that guides their behavior and promotes values like compassion, forgiveness, and charity. Community and belonging. Religions often foster a strong sense of community, offering support and common purpose and a sense of belonging. Coping mechanisms. A belief in God can provide comfort in times of stress, loss, or uncertainty, serving as a powerful coping mechanism. These are all completely true, and I agree with all this, even though I'm an atheist. It can give individuals a sense of purpose, hope, and meaning in life. And then finally, throughout history, religious beliefs have inspired a vast amount of culture, art, music, and architecture, enriching societies around the world. Yeah, hard to disagree with those facts, really. It's hard to disagree because having been raised in a Catholic household, I've seen firsthand the sense of community that religion brings. And it's undeniable. There is a real strong sense of community. But then also being brought up Roman Catholic, I have also seen firsthand the guilt and a certain amount of manipulation from other members of that community with regards to your behavior. I don't know if that makes any sense. Now, again, here we're not talking about whether God exists or not. We're talking about belief systems and their positives and or negatives. All right. I'm going to go turn my attention to the chat and see what the chat is saying. Oh my God, you guys have been on fire. Jeez Louise. Okay. We need a paradigm change. We are humans. We are thinking, procrastinating. Exactly. Rob, humans have consistently been displaced by technology, but our life quality has consistently improved in the last centuries. That is a fact. Can we actually get Pedro ProBoh approved? That's true. It's true.
ProBoh approved.
We live in a time of absolute abundance. This is a great unpopular opinion, Rob. Thank you, Pedro. What have you had for breakfast today, Rob? Nothing. Coffee. But, I'm feeling well rested. Last couple of days, I've only done my 8 hours, and I've just had some time off to relax and recuperate. Next week, I'll get back into the thick of it again. But this week, I'm doing normal everyday work, and it's doing me the world of good. I've got a lot more energy. I'll take everything said personally, says Min. Min, of a belief in God or of religion, there is quite a difference in my opinion. Yeah, well, okay, that's a good point. I would say religion. Guys, there's so many great comments in the chat, and I will read them all through the break, but right now we have to go to a break. I want to take your temperature on this, and then we'll discuss this in a lot of detail. If we have to miss the 100 humans, we will. It doesn't matter. It's our show. We do what we want. All right, my friends, look, so many things you could have been doing this morning. Instead of doing those things, you took the time to spend some time with me, and it means the absolute world. Guys, I will see you soon. Hey guys, if you'd like to support the show, you can do so on Patreon. That's patreon.com/professional bohemian. There you'll find VODs of the episodes as they are recorded live, blogs, vlogs, and behind-the-scenes content. If you'd like to watch the show live, you can do so on twitch.tv/professional bohemian, and you can participate in the polls we use in the show on Instagram @professional bohemian or Twitter @ProBoh, PROBOH. Okay, on with the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. That's right. I haven't released the poll. I haven't done it. I think we should talk more, because this is an interesting unpopular opinion, and I think we've all got, all of us, whether you believe, whether you subscribe to some kind of religion, or if you're like me and you don't, okay? There's a lot to talk about. This is a juicy subject, so we'll do the poll in a little bit once we've had a chance to really unpack everyone's ideas, right? Not mine, yours. You've heard what the elves had to say. Making quite a religious argument. Okay, so I put a belief in God. You could, for me, that would be interchangeable with subscribing to a religion. You know, I think the most important thing is, you know, what does that religion, is it being a religious or subscribing to a religion, does that bring more positives or more negatives to your life? And I don't want to give you my opinion just yet. We'll get there. We will get there though. Okay, let's see. Okay. God, you guys are on fire right now. Let's see. Pedro, first, I think we need to distinguish belief in God as a superior being from a belief in religion that proclaims itself to be the only true one. One of the defining aspects of most religions, Pedro, is that they all claim to be the only true one. And one thing atheists have common with everybody else, I think in the pantheon of gods there are like 5,000 past and present that have been worshipped by humans. I think this comes from Ricky Gervais. I think this was originally a Ricky Gervais quote. That atheists and religious people have more in common than you might think. So, like, if you're like me, you don't believe in 5,000 gods. If you're religious, you don't believe in 4,999. We have more in common than we don't, you know? Because there are a ton of gods out there, friends. So let's say religion, subscribing to some kind of religion. Excluding beliefs are problematic. They eventually clash, and they are used for the pursuit of power. That's from Pedro. My high school friend said false for this topic. He said, actually, mostly said that God is good. This is from Eric. God is good, which is the truth. That's why this one statement claiming that there is more belief in God is not good. I don't understand that very well, Eric. My bad. Let's move on to Pedro. But as to the unpopular opinion, I think it's completely subjective. Our belief in God or in the non-existence is so essential to our own self-conscious that a believer and an atheist will always believe that his or her beliefs are beneficial to them. So this is why I'm asking you to take yourself outside of your belief, just to step outside of it. Now, okay, I will level with you here. My answer to this, sincerely, would be false. I think religious people are actually quite lucky. They step into this framework, okay, that provides them with community, a sense of community. And I remember from back in the day when I was an altar boy, I don't know. How do you say altar boy in Spanish? You know, estos chicos que están con la...
Monaguillo.
Oh, monaguillo. Okay. I was an altar boy. And I remember very clearly a clear sense of community there. You know, people would approach me. I made friends, the other monaguillos, the other altar boys. You know, the community leader, the priest at the time, you know, knew me on a first name basis. There was a sense of community. There were events where we'd all get together. That is something that I have in my life right now, but I've had to go in search of it. The subscribing to a religious belief that comes as part of the vanilla package, if you like. You know, it also provides a framework for your life. You know. If you subscribe to the Roman Catholic faith, which is my point of reference for this, you know you're going to get married, you're going to have children, those children are going to be raised in a certain way, subscribing to certain beliefs. It kind of provides you with a framework for life, not to mention a moral framework that you can work with. Now, obviously, for me, I didn't pursue that further in my life. My ideas and my beliefs changed. Okay, and I became an atheist. But I think denying the fact, as an atheist, denying the fact that there are positive applications to religion and religious belief is very, very short-sighted. Because we're very good as atheists to call out the negatives, holy wars, discrimination. But we never look at, like, the fact that for the people subscribed to these beliefs, there are real net positives. Now, you might argue that, well, non-religious belief, you can still have community in your life. You can still have a framework for your life, subscribing to either a capitalist political model or a socialist political model provides you with kind of some kind of a framework there to continue. Morality is innate and flexible. You've heard me say that a lot. So why do you need a moral framework? These are all things that I believe. I don't think we need a moral framework to live our lives and to conduct ourselves. But don't tell me that it's not useful, that religious people aren't getting a net benefit out of that. That's why we're not talking about whether God exists or not. I think that's a zero-sum argument. What is more interesting to me is to look at why religious people are religious, why atheists are atheists, and let's take it, you know, somewhat scientifically and look at the net benefits of both. Okay, let's continue. The negatives said were mainly about religion. Only the personal fear of punishment was individual. Vero, I don't know if God exists or not. What I believe is that there's something that controls everything and makes it happen. Can anyone here help me with this dilemma? In terms of faith, Vero, it's a very personal journey. I mean, I have faith. I'm a humanist. I believe in people. I believe in our power to control our future. I believe that there isn't a God. That's faith. You know? Because scientifically and even philosophically, it's very hard to argue that God does or doesn't exist. You know what I mean? You quote to me an atheist philosopher, I'll quote you a religious one back, you know? Okay, let's continue. Pedro. So whether a certain belief has more benefits than others will depend on your own belief. It's a circular question. That's from Pedro. Min, the architecture argument is weak. Humans like building weird and beautiful buildings. There's a lot of beautiful buildings that have been built without religion, and if religion never existed, there would be other reasons to build special things. I think that comes from what the elves said. No, I'm talking here specifically about the way belief in a superior being or a religion. The reason I've written a god here is because we have kind of got into a habit of kind of ad hoc creating our own belief system now. Do you know what I mean? It used to be that we'd subscribe to one of 3 camps or 4 camps. You know, I'm Buddhist, I'm Catholic, I'm Christian, I'm a Muslim, I'm, you know, etc. I'm Jewish. But now people go through this ad hoc, well, I like this from paganism, I like this from spirituality, I like this from Christianity, and this is my out-of-the-box religious belief. Do you understand? That's why I've phrased it outside of the word religion. Okay. I don't consider myself religious, says Pedro. I don't see how not believing in what I believe would bring me any benefits. Well, let me give you some benefits of atheism from my perspective, after having given you a lot of benefits about religion. I believe the main benefit for me has been, as an adult, a flexibility of thought and an understanding of moral grey areas that have helped me be a more compassionate person. Ooh, that's a hot one. Does that make sense to you, Natch? Yeah? Yeah, because we tend to focus on religion being the real seat of compassion, but I don't believe that. I've actually became a lot more compassionate the more my belief dissipated. The more I've understood in my life that moral questions, the idea of what is good and what is bad, the more I've understood how situational they are, the more I've been able to empathize with those around me. And I feel like a lack of empathy is one of the characteristics that I did not like about subscribing to a certain religious community. Hopefully that makes sense anyway, guys. So that's a real benefit for me about atheism. Yeah. Okay, let's continue. You didn't make the poll, by the way. I know. We're going to get there. We're going to get there, guys. I just wanted to talk to you about this because it is quite... it's quite a delicate subject. Okay, and I don't want to... I know this argument is going to anger a lot of atheists as much as it's going to anger a lot of religious people. You know me. I feed off your anger. Your tears are delicious. Let's continue. Anyway. Min, I think personal beliefs are generally for the better of the individual. There you go. And I believe Min, like me, is an atheist too. It's hard to deny when you go to a funeral the emotional support of the community and how that belief props up a sense of well-being in the mourners, of the people, the people who are mourning the death of a loved one. He's with God now. I can't say that. I don't believe that in my heart. I make peace with the passing of a loved one in my own way, in a very different way. But again, the framework that religion provides helps the grieving process. This is one of the many benefits, I think, of subscribing to a religious belief. Let's see. So we'll continue with Min. However, religions and religious institutions probably have brought more negatives throughout history. Hard to disagree with that point, Min. It's hard to disagree with that point. But that's not really... It kind of is the question. I was going to say that's not really the question, but that was... I did say the negatives of a belief in God outweigh the positives. So historically speaking, yeah, there have probably been more negatives to the world, to people who don't subscribe to that specific belief. But how about like two opposing sides? Let's look at the Crusades. You had Christians on one side and Muslims on another. And these are two belief systems going to war with each other. Negatives. But I think as we've progressed as a society, right now, I think there's more net benefit interpersonally. Like look at the Palestinian-Israeli conflict that's happening right now. Is religion bringing them? Are there more net benefits to those guys being religious than positives to a Palestinian kid right now in the West Bank? Is he saying, thank God, thank God I'm religious? Probably. But is he experiencing a net benefit from those beliefs? It's an interesting question to ask ourselves. Let's continue. Where's the poll? Okay. For me and my high school friend, I think belief depends on a person's lifestyle. It often empowers the highest levels of performance. Yeah, it can do. I mean, religion can do that. Humans will always group up, whether it's religion, nation, sport teams, or favourite foods, whatever. I don't think religion, in that sense, brings something that wouldn't exist if religion had never existed. Okay, that's true. So you can find a community outside of a religious circle. That's true. But it's hard to argue about the death of a loved one, about the hope and solace that religion provides. I'm playing devil's advocate here because, as you know, I'm an atheist. But I'm not going to deny the fact that there are positives to religious belief. Okay, let's continue. I don't think it's about being useful, Rob. It's more about how we perceive our own existence and purpose. But from an anthropologist and a historical perspective, common beliefs have been a driving force for collective efforts, which helped us build civilization. We can argue if that's a good thing or a bad thing. That's true. How are you doing, Jeffo? Welcome. I think the answer to the question depends on the scale you look at it. A small personal scale on a shorter time frame is a net positive, but a larger societal scale over longer periods of time turns to negatives. It's a great point. Nuria Tam's here. How are you doing, Nuria? The negatives we're discussing are not about believing in God, but in a set of beliefs that exclude others. True story. But you know what I'm going to do, guys? I'm going to ask you to go to the vote. So we're going to have 5 minutes voting. And we'll put this to an end. Are there more benefits to a belief in God than there are negatives? More negatives than positives? You're going to tell me right now. The poll, my friends, is live. The poll is live. Interesting with many things in life, it's all about perspective and how far back you are from the situation, right? You know, life is a tragedy viewed up close. Okay, every life is a tragedy viewed up close. You know, I this year alone, I've experienced the end of a relationship, moving out, which was really stressful. A bad accident where I was put out of action for 6 weeks. And then, you know, a massive workload that was very hard to swallow. Tragedy. Zoom out, it's comedy. When you look at life from a distance, you very quickly see all the you see the shirt, not the threads, if you know what I mean. And religion is the same, yeah. I mean, if you want to look at it historically, maybe there have been more negatives than positives. But from a community aspect, for the individuals participating in that religion, I think there are a lot more net positives than negatives. Yeah, and you don't often hear that kind of thing from an atheist. I think people like Richard Dawkins have been quite rude. I used to be a real fan of Richard Dawkins, the author of The God Delusion, if you don't know who he is. I think he can be a little short-sighted himself when it comes to criticizing of religion. I mean, I'm not saying, look, a lack of belief is a lack of belief, and that's what I own. That's what lives in my heart. I don't believe in an afterlife. I don't believe in God. If I did believe in God, I wouldn't see myself subscribing to a particular religion. And I think a lot of modern religion now is invented by the participants, you know? Well, I like astrology, I like paganism, I like certain aspects of heaven, the heaven myth in Christianity. I'm going to incorporate all those and create my own little religion. I believe, for me, dude, early Christians would have hung you they would have burnt you at the stake. You know? Let's continue anyway. Chris Valroll, good morning, folks. I believe in energy. Everything in the universe is energy. I don't believe that there is a God, as some individuals with power have wanted us to believe. See, you are exactly the kind of person, Chris Valroll, who wrote this comment. You are the exact reason why I chose not to say religion, and I chose to say God or a higher power or something like that. Because I think the benefits to the way you believe, there are benefits, net benefits to your life believing what you believe. I don't believe in God, I believe in energy. So when if you experience, God forbid, an illness, a grave illness, you know in your heart that you will become energy and one with the universe, right? I imagine. I don't believe that. I think I become worm food and the lights go out and that's it. So there is a net benefit. There is a calming effect on your belief, given to you by your beliefs. It's a net benefit. And a net negative for me being an atheist. So let's continue. I don't believe there is a God, and some individuals with power have wanted us to believe. I believe that many things have been misunderstood throughout history. If you look, religions have only brought problems. Perhaps they wanted to make a difference. There is no difference. We are all energy. We are all the same. Thank you, Chris. I love that. Min, believing in God itself is probably neutral to the individual, as weird as that sounds. I don't think atheists have worse life as religious people in similar circumstances, which is also a really fair point. It's also a very fair point. I don't know, the nature, the family, I mean, it's hard to make this argument because I want to kind of go into the fact that religion often encourages you to propagate and extend your family, introduce more people into the religion, right? But then, on the flip side of the coin, you have monks and you have nuns that are forbidden from having sex. So, yeah, it's a crapshoot. Let's continue. Also, Hitchens and Dawkins use a lot of fallacies, even when making a correct point. True story, Min. Pedro says, but I'm still struggling with moving heavy objects using the Force. ProBoh approved. Come on.
ProBoh approved.
Jedi is a religion, man. Jedi's had it right. Look, there are net benefits to being a Jedi. You can use a lightsaber. Come on. Chris Valroy, I think it's better to be responsible for your life than leave it in the hands of a god or some religious mandates that you have to comply with. True story. Eugene, for me, all religions are evil, except Pastafarianism. That's the belief that there is a spaghetti monster in the sky. Thank you, Eugene. Rob, your today's outfit reminds me of Steve Jobs. Yeah, black t-shirt. Look at me. Black t-shirt, bald. The modern Steve Jobs. If only I had an ounce of his intelligence. Wowee. Okay, so the poll finished, friends. I will tell you on Instagram, 53% false. 53% false. But what about here? So, friends, I made the statement. Oh, here we go. The negatives of a belief in God outweigh the positives. You guys said, let's get a little drum roll. 50-50. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I love that outcome. I love that outcome. Why? Because religion is now, and probably will be for most of our lives, one of the most touchiest subjects. Belief, right? I mean, no one believes in something and in their heart entertains the possibility that they're wrong. I think that's what belief is. As soon as I started to entertain the possibility that God exists, that God didn't exist, as soon as I started to entertain that thought, that was the first moment. That was the beginning of my journey to become an atheist. To lose my belief in God and to gain a belief that he didn't exist. So, for me, a big part of belief, at least, is the denial of anything else. So when I see you guys vote 50-50 on such a sensitive topic, the negatives of a belief in God outweigh the positives, fills me with a lot of hope for society, guys. And the fact that we've conducted this this discussion with quite a lot of respect in the chat and towards me, who's saying some controversial stuff, guys, I've got nothing but love for you. Let's very quickly go to today's Complete the News.
Complete the news!
There you go, man. Woof, that was a good one, Natch. Yeah, that was a spicy subject. So we'll do the 100 humans tomorrow on tomorrow's show. Right now, let's go to Toronto. I'm going to give you a news headline. I'm going to leave out some information. You guys are going to complete the news by saying A, B, or C. Here we go. Toronto police are closing blank at their headquarters. Toronto police are closing blank at their headquarters. Is it A, a bar, un paf? Is it B, unisex bathrooms? That's bathrooms that both men and women can use. Or is it C, their mental health counselling centre? Sorry, quite a serious one. Oh my God. So, la policía de Toronto cierra blank en su cuartel general? Is that more or less? Headquarters? Okay. Oh, Natch, go on, do it. I saw your fingers there. So, Toronto police closing blank at their headquarters. Is it A, bar, B, unisex bathrooms, or C, mental health counselling centre? A, B, or C? Woo! I want you all to know I took everything said very personally, and I'll use my powers as a mod to ban all of you, including Rob. That's from Min. Well done, Rob. It's such a touchy subject. Yeah. And the fact that it's touchy means that it needs to be spoken about. And it takes a certain community to be able to do that. So I'm very grateful for all of you right now. What do you think, Natch? What do you think it is?
C.
You think C, the Mental Health Counselling Centre? Everybody in the chat said A. Okay, so the police in Toronto are closing. Drum roll. A bar. Coming from CBC News Canada, the Toronto Police Service is closing a fully licensed bar located within its headquarters, used by senior officers. Can you believe that? Natch, we need a bar in our office, man. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Tomorrow we're going to have a lot of fun as well at 8:30, the usual time. Friends, so many things you could have been doing today. Instead of doing those things, you took the time to spend some time with me. It means the world. See you tomorrow.